That's right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Right, well then. This is quite exciting, isn't it? Hello everybody. It's really amazing and really important that you're all here tonight. This is something that Dad or Sebastian or I never conceived would happen, a year and a half ago. But it's also something that Ma'am never thought would be possible either. What this event is it's a marker, right? In fact, it's rather like a lighthouse. A year and a half ago, no one saw it, but as we sailed closer and got closer to this event, it came into view and it got brighter. Tonight is an opportunity to make this marker as bright as possible, and something that can lead us on with UNICEF's mission, and also give us something to look back on and remember as a starting point for enacting all the potential that we have. We now have a licensed non-profit organization, the Helen Harrison Fine Art Aid for Children Trust, a new website, and a new range of products that are available for order. We encourage you to buy prints and bid on the silent auction and donate at the giving tree in the back. With your help, we can make a difference and send a sizable profit to the Audrey Hepburn Society of UNICEF, which brings me to Sean Hepburn, right? Having Sean in the room is making me just as excited as it would be making Ma'am. She'd be absolutely giddy, I can tell you that. My joy and excitement is carrying me forward to make sure that her legacy continues and to make sure we have this marker to look back on, and also make sure that we help UNICEF in fulfilling their mission. UNICEF's mission of having 0 children die from preventable causes is difficult. It just is. But we can now know that everything that Ma'am stood for, and her strength and tenacity and everything she did, is carried on by this organization and helps work towards UNICEF's goal. She would be proud. We can look back on tonight as a bright marker for the moment that we all come together and work towards 0. Thank you.
So now I have the pleasure of introducing Sean Hepburn Ferrer.
How could I even continue on tonight without saying how beautiful these children are, Daniel and Sebastian, and how well they are doing through all of this, and how wonderful David has been, and we've had the fortune to share a lot throughout these last couple of years. What we do often reaches across continents, across generations. And in a way, this family is sort of the model that I had always in my mind of what a donor really should be like. Someone that invests himself personally, emotionally, his children, and for all the right reasons. And in memory of someone as beautiful as Helen, to achieve what they've achieved. Apart from the fact that I love the artwork, and as soon as I had found out about it, I bought the entire collection, but that's besides the point. I'm going to ask all of you to humbly lift your arm if you'd like to know something more about UNICEF tonight, if you feel that maybe you don't know the entire story. Well, that's a lot of hands. But it's really quite simple. After the terrible Second World War, the Allies, the United States and the Allies, that's the proper way to frame it, created the United Nations. The nations were created so we would never go through this again. Part of the plan was to have a relief organization that would deal with women and children right after the war. This was the creation of UNRWA, which in 1943 started to plan how they would then, once the war was over, bring relief to children and women all over Europe, and which ultimately became UNICEF. And when the war was over and the job was done, they were supposed to be sort of wrapped up and sent home. And a very meaningful Polish politician said, no, but wait a minute, there's going to be other disasters and there's going to be a need for this. And so they said, yeah, you're right, so let's keep UNICEF, but you can stay, but you have to come up with your own budget. We don't have the budget for you. There was no budget for nothing in those days. And so UNICEF today is really completely reliant on voluntary donations, whether it's from the 2/3 it receives from the governments of the world or the 1/3 that it receives from the private sector. In the middle of a crisis like the one we've been living through for the past 6 years now, governments don't always pay in a timely fashion, as you may well imagine. Therefore, the pressure is put on the private sector. The private sector is mostly composed of donors. Corporations are not really, there's no upside for them. So it's mostly people. And the big donors are a big, big portion of that 1/3. So it is vital that we accept that this is not a game of collective guilt, but as my mother used to say, it's about collective responsibility. And if we accept where we are today, in the situation of our economies, our social political situation, what we've learned about why certain nations succeed and others fail, which basically ultimately has to do with your rights to protect what is yours more than anything else. We have to accept that it is necessary and absolutely that we help organizations that have the reach to give children around the world a real chance at a childhood, at an education, when in most cases they do not. And UNICEF, I mean, we have a lot of parties over here. We raise funds for this and for that. But when ultimately you go in the field, you go to a country that is in the middle of a war or a revolution, that list gets much, much shorter. There's only a few organizations in the world that have the wherewithal and the ability to deliver the help. And probably only one, like UNICEF, because of its tie to the UN, that is able sometimes to negotiate amazing pockets of peace where women and children can be protected. I always like to think of the case of when the tsunami hit, or the corridors of peace in Sudan. UNICEF is uniquely poised to bring relief to hundreds of millions of children around the world. And I thank you so much for being here tonight in spirit of this beautiful family and trying to help. Thank you very much. I want to now introduce our next speaker. Amber has been with UNICEF for 5 years, and she is, in my view, what UNICEF is going to look like and sound like for the decades to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Amber Hill.